hair tutorial, I'm going to share with you how to do cutting and styling on short, relaxed hair. As you can see on my model, Abigail here, her hair has been previously cut and it's already been relaxed. And I'm also actually going to be adding some hair extension as part of the finishing style. So I'll be demonstrating this in 2 parts for you today. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with Abigail's hair. Her hair is currently dry at the moment. Whenever we're cutting afro hair texture, especially if it's already been relaxed, you have 2 options, and I would say there are 2 stages to cutting the hair. You can either start the cut when the hair is dry, and then at some point you might want to wet the hair down and then continue with the cutting itself. The reason why I'm going to start with the hair being dry is because her hair, as you can see, it's already been cut into a short pixie cut. She's got a little bit more of growth around the top here, which we are going to be taking down a little bit more. But on the sides, we are going to go a little bit more shorter. So for the sides, I will be using my clippers for the cutting process. So it makes it much more easier for me to cut when the hair is dry, because this hair has been freshly relaxed. So when it's wet, it lays down a little bit too flat, should I say. So it makes it a little bit more challenging when it comes to cutting the hair itself. So it's easier to do that part when the hair is dry. And then I will go ahead and spray the hair down with some water. So I'm just going to turn her to the side. When I start cutting the hair, you can see that we've got a nice graduation around the back here and around the sides already. I'm literally just going to work with the shape that we currently have, and then just aim to make that a little bit more sharper and more defined, and just clean out the sides and the back a little bit more, and take down at least about ½ an inch to an inch of the length of the hair at the top there. So the clippers I'm using are my Wool Senior Cordless clippers. That's what I'm using. I will start off with the half grade size first, because I will be going very low around the back and the sides as well. If you're conscious about possibly taking off too much, you can either go in with a little bit more, maybe a 1 or a 1.5, and then you can just gradually work your way down until it's as low as you want it to be, okay? At first, I'm going to be going with the grain. I'm not going to go against the grain, okay, because I don't want to take off too much hair. So if I went in this direction here, I'm naturally going to take off a lot more hair. But if I go the opposite way and work with the direction that the hair naturally falls and sits, I'm still going to cut the hair length that I want to take off, but still creating and maintaining that graduation that I want to see. So it gives me more of a softer finish when I go ahead and do the cut on the hair. I'm going to go ahead and wet the hair down, and at this point I'm going to start the process of cutting with my scissors, and then I'll also go back in and shape the hair again. So at this stage, whenever we're working with short relaxed hair, because at some point we're going to wrap set the hair, so usually provisionally you do the design or the shape that you want to see in the overall style, but you're not aiming to completely cut the whole look straight away. The final cutting will be done after we finish wrapping and setting and drying the hair, okay? So right now I just went in and I cut down the sides because I know that I wanted that to be very low. And using my clippers when the hair is dry is a little bit much more easier compared to trying to do this when the hair is completely wet. So when the hair is wet like this, I will go in and use my scissors, and I'll be using my techniques for cutting a graduation cut to create the look that I want in the hair. I'm just combing the hair to sit in the position of part of the style that I want to see when I actually complete this cut here. And again, I'm just reshaping the style that she had, but just aiming to make that a little bit more shorter than what it currently is right now. So I will be starting off from the crown area and working my way down to the nape area here. So I'm going to create my starting point and establish where I'm going to start the hair and create my guide. So I'm going to be holding the hair at a 45-degree angle, and then that is where I'm going to start my guide. So the top part of the hair here is going to establish where my guiding point is going to be, and then from this point I'm going to cut the hair low to the nape area. So at this point, I'm just going to continue the process of cutting from the point where I set my guide all the way down to my right hand side, and then I'll come back and then continue that onto the left hand side as well. Okay, so for the front section here where I have the hair falling forward, I'm actually going to be using my guideline that I created in the beginning to help me to continue cutting the hair, but I'm over directing the hair towards the back to allow me to also retain more length as the hair falls towards the front there. So when I cut at this point here, this hair is still going to sit quite long compared to the hair that's going to be on top. So essentially I'm creating a slight long layered effect in the cut here at the top, so we don't lose too much of the length around the front, but we still want to have a little bit more layers working through the hair there. So as you can see, we've got layers working through the top part of the head there, and we can start to gradually see the style that we're going for. So like I said, when we cut afro hair texture, we do not go in completely and create the full cut. There are stages. So at this point, this could be a point where I could choose to wrap set the hair completely, leave it to dry, and then once the hair is dry, which would take about 35 to 40 minutes, once the hair is set and it's dry and it's sitting in the position that we want, then we go back in and then finish the cut, because even though the hair is relaxed, it does shrink in itself just a little bit slightly. So you don't want to run the risk of taking off too much than what you want to see on the hair as well. So I'm just going to do the final, just shaping this out a little bit more. I possibly might just go in with my clippers just to bring that in low a little bit more. And then once that's complete, then I'm going to go ahead and slightly blow dry the hair dry just at the front here, because I did say this was a two-part styling process. We are going to be adding some extension at the front just for a little bit of color, so we just create something a little bit more creative with the style that we're going for here. And then once that's done, I'm going to fully wrap set the hair, and then at the end we'll do the final cutting and the shaping, and then we'll be able to have a look at that style. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit more tidy up before I do the next part of the cut of the style. So I've just tidied up the shape a little bit more. As you can see, I've gone in and used my point cutting technique and a combination of cutting scissor over comb to just feather that in and just make sure that there isn't any thick areas. So I just took my time and worked through the hair and just made a quick tidy up on the sides. Now what I'm just going to do is to just shape around the hairline. I'm going to follow the way natural hair falls here on the sides, and then we're just going to emphasize that shape a little bit more, coming all the way through to the back of the head. Once that part is completed, then we're going to go ahead and rough dry this area here, where I'm actually going to be placing my hair extension into Abigail's hair. And again, I'm using my small wall trimmers to detail and shape around the hairline, and just following the way the shape of the hair goes at this point. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and rough dry her hair. Once the hair is wrap set after we put the extension in, if I need to go over the detailing around the nape area and around the hairline that I've just did, then I'll also do that again. But right now it's looking nicely done. So the only thing we need to now do is to actually add the hair extension into the hair and then continue with the wrap setting technique. So I'm just going to quickly rough dry her hair, and then I'll come back and demonstrate how to actually place the hair extension into the hair, and then we'll finish off the styling of the hair. Okay, so before I go in and add my extension into the hair, I am going to apply a little bit of a moisturizing product on her hair and some serum for the styling of the hair, so that once we put the extension in, we don't have to go in and add any more product into the hair. I will be applying my Mizani coconut souffle product for moisturizing the hair, and I will also be using my Mizani Thermosmooth for heat protection for when this hair goes under the hood dryer for the wrap setting and the styling and finish of the hair. So only applying 1 pump of the Thermostrength for the heat protection. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start adding our hair extension into the hair.